The reality is there's nobody left alive who can handle my truth.
Dexter Morgan. To most people, he's a blood-spatter analyst, a quiet, unassuming man with a disarming smile and a knack for solving gruesome murders. But that's just the mask. Beneath the charm lies something far darker, a predator. But Dexter isn't just any predator. No, he's a vigilante, a serial killer who hunts other killers, the ones who slip through the cracks. The predators who think they've escaped justice. He finds them, stalks them, and ensures they never hurt anyone again. He's the embodiment of contradiction, a killer who saves lives, a monster with a moral code. He's terrifying, precise, and methodical. But here's the twist. You're rooting for him. But why? It's not just his moral framework that justifies his actions. In Harry's code, there is still personal bias that plays as a factor. Justice also isn't his primary motive, as Dexter has this uncontrollable urge to kill he needs to fulfill. So what was it? How did they write a serial killer so contradictory and yet ambiguous that he even had us questioning what we know about morality and righteousness?
Tonight's the night.
It all starts with Miami. Miami in Dexter is almost a character in and of itself. The city's lush and luxurious landscapes, accentuated through the sunniness of the place, depict a world where anything is possible. But we quickly understand that it's more about lawlessness and the fact that perhaps everything holds a secret. The focus of Dexter's story is the Miami Metro Police Department, where we see the friendship between diverse characters and the bureaucratic incompetence that hinders justice. This sets the stage for Dexter to take matters into his own hands, tying in with our own moral compasses. Though Dexter's actions are not for the world's benefit, but I'll explain that later. In a place where drug dealing, human trafficking, and homicides are common, Dexter's actions can easily slide into the backdrop. That doesn't mean he's not careful, though. No, Dexter refuses to get caught. A lot of us felt that it was perhaps blind luck and the lust of this one woman, as well as the care that other characters kept showing towards him that shielded him multiple times. But if you look closer, you'll see that the truth runs deeper than luck. It's not just chance keeping him safe. Dexter may have looked like your average Joe, which helped us root for him, but there was a lot more going on than just that. It was his complete character design that gave him this edge. At first glance, Dexter seems ordinary, even boring. A forensic expert with a clean-cut, polished appearance, he's a man who blends effortlessly into the background and also looks relatable to the audience. But there's something about the way he moves, the way his eyes flicker with a barely contained intensity. He's a man who walks a fine line between what we see and what we don't, and it's that very design that keeps you guessing. Dexter's obsession with cleanliness and order reveals another layer of his duality. His meticulousness, whether in his crime scenes or the careful ritual of disposal, reflects a compulsive need for control, a characteristic common among those whose lives revolve around precision and dominance. He's a man who thrives in the neatness of his chaos, where everything has a place, even his darkness. On the surface, Dexter is a mask of normalcy, an everyman, playing the part of a brother, a son, a boyfriend, a husband, and then a father. He smiles, he laughs, he shares moments of love, but behind those moments, there's something far darker lurking just beneath his skin. He's crafted himself this way for a reason. People don't notice the quiet ones, do they? The ones who seem like they belong, the ones who fit in. But those who know how to look, really look, see the cracks. The coldness in his voice when the topic of violence comes up, the hesitation when he's asked to feel something he doesn't. Dexter's true nature is a carefully constructed facade, pun intended, and every detail of his design points to his need for control. The carefulness with which he plans his kills, his ritualistic approach, the preparation of the kill room, the care with which he cleans the blood, this isn't just about murder. It's about control. His calm, composed exterior is a mask he wears to hide the chaos inside. The darkness that he channels into something far more calculated. He's not just acting on impulse, he's executing a plan one step at a time. And yet, there's that underlying vulnerability, that crack in his armor. Dexter's design is as much about what's hidden as it is about what's visible. His need for connection, his fleeting moments of care, his twisted sense of justice, they're all there, concealed behind the mask of a weird yet ordinary man. But every time he's forced to confront the world around him, he risks exposing a part of himself he's spent years burying. It all boils down to his dark passenger. Yes, that's what he calls his inner demon. There's a consciousness inside of Dexter, and one that we, as an audience, grew intimately familiar with over the course of the show. But what makes Dexter so compelling isn't just his ability to get away with murder, but the way he's designed to make everyone around him believe he's just like everyone else. That is, until they look a little deeper. Until everyone realizes he's never really been ordinary at all. And once that truth starts to settle in, you're left wondering how long can someone like him keep up the act? And what will happen when it all unravels?
Ever kids? Why? I have standards.
Dexter Morgan is a man who embodies contradiction. On the surface, he is a forensic analyst, a man who meticulously reconstructs crime scenes to help solve murders. But beneath that calm professional exterior, we know the truth. This paradox made Dexter a unique figure in modern storytelling, a vigilante serial killer. His actions walk the fine line between righteous justice and irredeemable sin, and in doing so, they forced us to grapple with our own moral boundaries. Can a killer be good if he kills for the right reasons? Is Dexter's brand of justice any different from the chaos he seeks to eradicate? From a writing perspective, the key to Dexter's appeal lies in his dual nature. By day, he's a mild-mannered forensic expert for the Miami Metro Police Department. By night, he's a meticulous killer who hunts other murderers. This duality is the foundation of his character. To recreate this, establish your character's public and private personas. Dexter's public persona is disarmingly normal, polite, unassuming, and even charming. His private persona, however, is methodical, remorseless, and deeply disciplined. And it's this sharp contrast that keeps us hooked. One moment, he's playing the role of a doting brother and boyfriend. The next, he's stalking his victim. At the heart of Dexter's vigilantism lies Harry's Code, a set of rules instilled in him by his adoptive father, Harry Morgan. As the show unfolded, we found out that Harry, a seasoned police officer, recognized early on that his son harbored an insatiable and dangerous darkness, a compulsion to kill. But there was grounds for this. It found its roots in unspeakable trauma. This ambiguity furthered the foundation for Dexter's character development as a child. Instead of trying to suppress this darkness, Harry chose to channel it. Harry's code is deceptively simple yet profoundly complex. Kill only those who deserve it. The worthy of his inbound violence in Dexter's world are murderers who have slipped through the cracks of the justice system, walking free despite their heinous crimes. This framework turns Dexter's killing into a twisted form of vigilantism, allowing him to satisfy his urges while serving a purpose that aligns, however tenuously, with justice. But Dexter's vigilantism is not born out of a sense of altruism or duty to protect society. Unlike traditional vigilante figures, Dexter does not fight crime out of a desire to right wrongs or protect the innocent. His actions are deeply personal, driven by his need to satisfy his dark passenger, a term he uses to describe the primal urge within him to kill. Justice, for Dexter, is a convenient side effect of his murderous compulsion. Dexter's actions take on a certain logic. If the system cannot protect the innocent, who will? But Dexter is no superhero. He doesn't wear a cape, nor does he seek recognition for his actions. His vigilantism is a deeply solitary endeavor, carried out in the shadows to maintain his cover and ensure his survival. This secrecy adds yet another layer of complexity to his character, as it isolates him from those around him. The contrast between Dexter and his adoptive sister Deborah, who is a morally upright and ambitious detective, shows us what he can never be. It reminds us of Dexter's irredeemability. As a child, Dexter witnessed the brutal murder of his mother, Laura, who was killed with a chainsaw in front of him. This horrifying experience left him emotionally scarred and gave birth to his insatiable need to kill. Harry's decision to channel Dexter's urges through the code, in this context, just seem inevitable. And this defining moment was pivotal to the character of Dexter Morgan. We witnessed it resonate throughout his life and decisions. This backstory helped further develop his moral ambiguity and allowed us to empathize with him. As the series progresses, Dexter begins to question the rigidity of Harry's code and his own motivations. Are all his victims truly deserving, or does he sometimes act out of convenience or personal vendettas? Is he genuinely delivering justice, or is he merely rationalizing his need to kill? One of the most poignant examples of this internal conflict is Dexter's encounter with Miguel Prado in Season 3. Miguel, a district attorney, discovers Dexter's secret and initially supports his vigilante killings, even participating in them. At first, Miguel seems like an ally, someone who understands and validates Dexter's actions. But as Miguel's own moral boundaries blur, Dexter realizes that not everyone can handle the responsibility of being judge, jury, and executioner. Despite his best efforts to maintain control, Dexter's vigilantism often spirals into chaos, drawing him into dangerous situations that threaten to expose his true nature. His pursuit of justice, though methodical, is not without consequences. Innocent lives are sometimes caught in the crossfire, and Dexter's actions frequently put his loved ones at risk. This collateral damage forces the audience to confront the darker side of vigilantism, where the lines between hero and villain blur beyond recognition. To keep the audience invested, you need to balance your character's dark deeds with moments of humanity. Dexter isn't just a killer, he's also a father, a brother, and a colleague. These roles make him relatable and humanize his darker tendencies. To do so, the writers gave him relationships that made him emotionally grounded and vulnerable, especially with his sister Deborah, son Harrison, and girlfriend Rita. They also became the source of inner turmoil, which made him even more relatable. Dexter's role as a vigilante serial killer also raises profound questions about the nature of justice itself. Is justice truly served when it is delivered outside the confines of law? Can a system that is inherently flawed ever produce true accountability? And if not, does that justify individuals like Dexter taking matters into their own hands? For Dexter, his vigilantism is deeply personal. It's not just about punishing the guilty, it's a search for purpose in a world he feels disconnected from. Killing gives him control and identity, a way to channel his darkness meaningfully. But this purpose is hollow, as Dexter knows his own monstrosity. Dexter Morgan is a paradox, defying easy categorization. A vigilante serial killer. He challenges us to question morality, justice, and humanity. His story delves into the darkness within us all, and the lengths we go for redemption. Through his eyes, we confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves. Is he a hero, a monster, or something in between? Like Dexter, the answer is elusive yet compelling. As I've already mentioned, the key to Dexter's appeal lies in his dual nature. By day, he's a mild-mannered forensic expert for the Miami Metro Police Department. By night, he's a meticulous killer who hunts other murderers. This duality is the foundation of his character. To recreate this, establish your character's public and private personas. Dexter's public persona is disarmingly normal, polite, unassuming, and even charming. His private persona, however, is methodical, remorseless, and deeply disciplined. And it's this sharp contrast that keeps us hooked. One moment, he's playing the role of a doting brother and boyfriend. The next, he's stalking his victim. I've already explained how this helped us justify his actions and empathize with him, but the way to build a moral code is to tie it to a tragic backstory. This is what makes the code feel organic and necessary. Next, you need to make the code specific. A vague moral compass won't cut it. Dexter's code has clear rules. Only kill proven murderers. Don't get caught. This specificity gives the character structure and the audience clarity. And then, of course, the code creates tension. It's a gray area that adds layers to Dexter's personality. As a child, Dexter witnessed the brutal murder of his mother, Laura, who was killed with a chainsaw in front of him. This horrifying experience left him emotionally scarred and gave birth to his insatiable need to kill. Harry's decision to channel Dexter's urges through the code, in this context, just seemed inevitable. And this defining moment was pivotal to the character of Dexter Morgan. We witnessed it resonate throughout his life and decisions. To keep the audience invested, you need to balance your character's dark deeds with moments of humanity. Dexter isn't just a killer, he's also a father, a brother, and a colleague. These roles make him relatable and humanize his darker tendencies.
He's the only person in the world who loves me. I think that's nice.
To do so, the writers gave him relationships that made him emotionally grounded and vulnerable, especially with his sister Deborah, son Harrison, and girlfriend Rita. They also became the source of inner turmoil, which made him even more relatable. A vigilante serial killer needs a distinct modus operandi, MO. Dexter's meticulous process, researching his targets, preparing a kill room, and using plastic wrap to contain the mess is iconic. It reflects his personality. He is consistent and recognizable and ritualistic. Dexter's ritual of taking a drop of blood as a trophy is both chilling and symbolic. Dexter's inner monologue is a key narrative tool, giving us access to his thoughts and making us complicit in his actions. It contrasts with his behavior, shaped by his adoptive father Harry's instructions. The voiceover adds dark humor, depth, and philosophical richness, enhancing both the story and entertainment.
This guy may have exceeded my own abilities.
No great protagonist exists in a vacuum. Dexter's conflicts with nemeses like the Ice Truck Killer, the Trinity Killer, and Sergeant Dokes raise the stakes. These foes reflect Dexter's darker qualities, making the conflict more compelling. For example, the Trinity Killer is a family man who leads a double life as a murderer. These nemeses challenged Dexter mentally, philosophically, and physically. They had us holding on to the edges of our seats until we realized we were rooting for Dexter to win. At its core, Dexter is about identity, morality, and what it means to be human. Dexter's journey is as much about self-discovery as justice, exploring big questions, moral ambiguity, and themes like fatherhood and his relationship with his sister. A character like Dexter comes with consequences, whether it's exposure, losing loved ones, or inner turmoil. His ending stayed true to the character, messy and open to interpretation, just like him. Because of all this, we're still sitting around discussing Dexter ever since the series was aired, but that's what makes the whole thing so remarkable. Dexter Morgan is the perfect blend of hero and villain. He makes us root for him even when we know we shouldn't. He forces us to ask uncomfortable questions about morality and justice. He makes us wonder if, in a world where killers walk free, maybe, just maybe, someone like him should exist. That's the power of great writing. That's the power of a character who isn't just good or evil, but both. So if you're writing a vigilante serial killer, make them methodical, make them complicated, make them someone the audience wants to understand even when they know they shouldn't. That's how you write a killer we can't look away from. That's how you write Dexter Morgan.